Good morning, and welcome to this morning's Wuxing, Long Pai, Qigong, Taijiquan, and Baguazhang. My name is Jeff Cote, and I am the Occidental Taoist. Pardon me. The coming weeks are going to be a little bit in transition as I move from the holiday schedule to what is apparently going to be my assistant schedule for the post office. So be flexible with me. I'm shifting some classes. I'm shifting a class that was on a Monday also to a Tuesday. So I'm having to use this time for an in-person class because I have a smaller window. So I'm not certain exactly when I'm going to film my going live as I go into this transition, because I don't quite know what it's going to look like yet. There's some pliability, and until it settles into a rhythm, there's a lot of reasons why, one of them being that our postmaster has been out, so the more long-term schedule isn't really set. It's kind of week-by-week thing for now. So I apologize for some fluidity that we're going to have, but I promise I will film at least one. Probably I'm shooting for 2 a week as I start transitioning, and then it'll be a definitive 2 as we transition my schedule. So if you could bear with me, but if you come back at the same time, there should be another one, before next Tuesday. I just don't know if it's going to be on Tuesday morning. I don't think it will be. If it is, it'll be earlier, although that's going to not leave me a lot of time. So it'll probably be filmed Monday evening, perhaps another day. I'm not certain. Maybe later this week. So bear with me as I go through this 1 to 2 week max transition period, and I know what my schedule is going to look like and when I can make some adjustments. And I apologize for any inconveniences that this causes. At the same time, I have to make it work with my life and my timing. So I also thank you for your forbearance. Most of you guys have been very, very kind about it. And I appreciate that. Nice. We're going to start with bouncing. Obviously, I'm having to transition myself too, which is, the schedule that I've kept over the holidays has been an intense one. And it's been very interesting for me to try to figure out how to fit in my practice. So it's helping me to gain some insight with some of the struggles that I know people can engage with regular practice. At the same time, the one thing I always promise myself, and I recommend you promise yourself when you practice or when you train at all, if you're going to pursue this for your well-being, is to commit to even something simple. 15 minutes of counter swing, maybe 5 minutes of standing as you can find it. Be surprised how many moments in your day you can be practicing without necessarily setting aside a whole hour. Yet you can still find a way to get at least an hour of practice in. For me, I used a lot of the things that were required around the house, washing dishes, etc., folding laundry, taking that time to work with my breath, posture, and make it a Qigong, just as if I were practicing here. It's one of the reasons why we shoot for ordinary in our practice, learning about basic movement, because then we can translate it into everything. So you can see I've transitioned into a counter swing. and column swing. As you're doing this column swing, really conceptualize with your mind as you watch. I don't want you to be only in your mind, but I want you to aim your mind towards looking at your body as though there are these two columns. And there's forces that your body can generate from tissues that follow up and down the columns. They can rotate in and out, shoulders and hips. And notice what happens with the back when that happens, particularly if you add in just a little bit of dragon spine, right? So there's an activity happening. We can learn to work with it and just spiral our intentions from the ground to the hands through each side of these columns. Meanwhile, we're paying attention and connecting that with the actual experience of having a ball and socket joint here and here, hinge joints here and here, ability to rotate in the wrists, but also generate a long spiral from the feet to the hips as I spiral out and spiral in. Meanwhile, I want to imagine as if there's weight and resistance so I can learn to use these tissues through clear intention and teach my body not to resist, but to go along with that intention of action. Make space. Use the momentum to pull the joints, particularly the ball and socket joints, slightly open, and then let them come closer together. We're not trying to slam them and pull them hard. What we're trying to do is just get them to move and pump. There's fluid in there. That's an important part of joint health, is the movement of that fluid. Again, so we use the yang, the activity, to induce movement into the yin, which can tend to stagnate. And we use the energy of yin, and it's our focus on serving it, to curb the intensity of the yang, not so much completely, but so that it's always in balance with the yin. This is nourishing the root of life. There's a release. Meanwhile, when I release, I'm always releasing down. With that extension, I can get a feeling of this, a gentle hook grab with the dragon palm. Pull down. Dragon plucks the clouds. And then sometimes I won't rotate, but I'll reach out and gently grip. Always with this sense of connecting to the center. Counter column swing. Now use all that activation to create more flow and movement in the torso. So we're going to really focus on this connection from the ball and socket joint through the torso to the shoulder and how they work around the spine. Learning to generate a serpentine action in this contralateral or contra-sagittal movement. Meanwhile, I'm always connecting it deeply to the ground, a sense of outreaching and gathering from the legs, from the center through the legs into the ground, utilizing that as the base. And I'm trying to do less and less external movement and more internal movement. Sometimes palm in, sometimes palm out. Just letting it twist. And up and down. Just and close. That was a lot of yang. Now we root into yin. We're going to start with widening the feet a little, sinking down into the stance. You don't have to go quite this wide, just to what works so that your knees can be in line with your toes. You can manage the rotational power inside and out and provide a good base from the soles of the feet through the yin to support the lower dantian and the pelvic floor. Gently drawing that up with that Qigong so that the center line becomes strong and stable. Meanwhile, we're relaxing down on the outside. And play around with your structure a little. And we're going to do a Qigong in the lower body, starting from the ground. We're going to let our awareness go up the yin channels on the insides of the legs, right to the pelvic floor. Feel that bowl shape of the pelvis draw up. Support and gather the dantian, condensing the yin qi, then relax. Let your awareness move to the outside along the daimai, and down the outside, back of the legs, down the outsides of the shins and the back of the calves, and over the top of the feet. We're going to let our awareness flow through, always seeking a balance, left to right, inside to out, structurally, while gathering and supporting the yin. Now, usually once I get this feeling of the dantian, I let my awareness first go to my Ming Men and then around the daimai, kind of coming from the yang point in the low back, around and down. may find you need to adjust to find that perfect level for you to work at where you're learning to release, to allow a better structure to happen. Remediate where injuries and tension has existed. And we're going to do that meridian flow, coming all the way up the yin channels to the lower down channel and to the middle. As the chi then flows down the yin channels of the arms, right to the hands. As though you could gently compress and extend as your awareness move up the outside, back of the arms, to the shoulders, up to the sides of the head, and around onto the face, over the top and outside, and even the front corner here, that stomach channel, and down those right and left channels. Right into the ground. Narrow up. And watch this cultivation. Relax the arms down and out and around. We're going to move into Wuxing. Hi, Kissy. That is my bird saying hi. From here, we're going to move into dragon rolling pearl position to one side. Start here. Figure out which leg you're receiving in, which leg you're expanding through, and the amount of each you're doing. Feel the yin to yang channel relationship, the spiral force in that right and left channel. Align it, balance it. Feel their relation. Use that to feel the relationship of the two dantians and the energy between them all. Pay particular attention to your torso and its relationship to the legs and the center line. Always adjusting. Don't forget this upper dantian area and the connection from the middle dantian to it. Feel the back of the neck, let it open up. Bring the chin down slightly and extend the head up, but play around with it. Feel the relationship from the heart through the throat to that middle dantian, or upper dantian rather. My bird is desperately trying to get to me. So while I stand and work, I'm going to let her sit on my hand. So she will be calm. She's not going to be totally calm. She's going to end up wanting to mess with me because that's what she does. But while she does, I will allow, I use this as training too. I let her sit and I feel her weight and the adjustments of her weight. And I let it change all the way to the ground. Always letting my whole body receive that little bit of weight. You know, there's an old story about one of the old Taiji masters, I don't remember who. He used to be able to trap a sparrow. Might have been Ching, I'm not sure. Or he might have been the one telling the story. Anyways, he would talk about the pressure of a sparrow and how it couldn't take flight. He could trap it from not taking flight because it would push off. And when it did, he would respond. My bird is desperately trying to get my attention. So, all right, that's enough. Stop biting. Sorry, I'm gonna have to put you back. I know that was a very sad sound, but I know you're trying to get at my chi, and that's okay, but you won't be calm. If you were calm and just accepted it, I know. Strong life force. It's apparently like a mating behavior they have. Found this out. Makes sense, right? Strong life force triggers that. And, you know, just this presence of it triggers it in her. I'm sorry, because I need to use this life force to make some corrections in my own chi. So I have to use it. I know it's exciting you. And we roll to the other side. So this side is getting at something I could feel and has been building from this whole holiday season, getting in and out of the postal truck, right? And so there's been this extra tension, particularly since I've got the window open a lot, and so there's cold air. And while I try to dress warm, you're going from a really active to sitting in a cold wind to really active. So cold tends to develop in the channels really easily. So I've been doing a lot of this, just trying to like activate everything with that yang energy and then use it to clear that cold stagnation. And I use a little bit of intention and push into it from the stable side. Always feeling that whole center line too, either side of the spine, the center line itself, the relationship all the way to the dantian and the bowl of the pelvis. And then getting that, just really clarifying distinctions in what regions tensions exist or stagnation. I get the feeling of stagnation. And I use the stable, strong, open, free energy, the freedom of activity and intention that I have on one side to extend into the side that feels separated. Meanwhile, I'm rooting and draining away tension, both through any side, all around that, trying to just encapsulate it. There's this whole, this is kind of a watery style of Qigong, where you're using your breath and your intention and your whole body action to slowly wear away the hardness and tension that you might find inside. But what it requires is sometimes engagement where you press and release, increasing pressure in some place. And it's serpentine, that dragon element, as you let everything be kind of loose, and you might wave or move it. Help like squeeze out and squeeze in, squeezing the chi in, squeezing the intent in, squeezing out whatever you find that's part of the stagnation, and letting it drain. And then you listen, does it feel like it needs to move to release that? So let it move and release it and then come back. And then roll to the other side. Feeling again. And working with the same thing on this side. Using the stable base here. Honing in on the hip, on where the best place is to maintain the structure and energy, particularly of the center line and its capacity to expand, but also the integrity of those right and left channels. All the way here in the back, and the space between the hips and shoulders and the rib cage. There's this space in here. We want to be able to have intention and energy move through there too. All the way into the arm and hand. And then there's that sense of outreach from this expansion to make contact with, receive, and root and neutralize. Feel that in here. All the way to the ground. This is a sort of Taijiquan approach we're having where we're dividing yin and yang first, but we're slowly working it back together. We're learning to find the divisions that we've created. Artificiality that is unnecessary and ineffective to our movement, and the unity of yin and yang, internal. Their qualities, don't look for their qualities of the way you're operating. Just think of them in those terms. Feel that yin inside supporting the downward press, the outward expansion. Same thing here now too. We've also got this side that has already expanded from yin to yang. And it is receptive and yet expansive too. Receives and neutralizes into the ground. As you make the transition, notice every place where you start to push yourself out of balance with right and left, inside to out, all of it, and just go back, adjust, release, and move into it again. This is a basic practice, but done in an advanced fashion. But everybody should be shooting for this. Paying attention to the spiral here, its support, the relationship, but also how my intention is creating action and experience through here. It's participating. Your intentions, conscious and unconscious, are participating in creating this. So create what you envision. Fluidity, openness, solidity. These two coils of power. It's a training method. That's it. Doesn't matter. Is it real? Does it have a real effect in your movement, in your internal power, your vitality, your feeling? That's what matters. I've met many people who say they do not believe in a force called Qi. That's fine. You don't have to. Perhaps it is a useful fiction. I don't know. It feels real to me. It has some effects that I'm looking for. It has the effects that the classics describe. Good enough. I want you to notice how everything, every little tension in your body, from the instep of your foot, inside your leg, your hip, where mid-torso, shoulders, everything participates in the action. And you support those weak points, right? Support them with everything else, and then drain away their problem with it. Literally, just engage with the strong parts of you, but gently, outreaching to receive the energy that might be stuck, and release it, opening up the body to chi flow, to life force, to blood flow, to circulation, to awareness, to feeling sense. Test it all constantly. Notice now you're starting to realize that Dragon One Winged Pearl isn't about this. This is a construct we use at the beginning to teach the basic movement, but it's really about this coiling of the two sides, and then eventually how it can be utilized to create movement through the shoulder and into the hands. If you go wide enough and big enough where you're really opening everything up, it becomes dragon plays and clouds. Still using those right and left channels, and it's reverse. And close. Yeah. The more you practice, the longer you play at this and play with all of this, the more you begin to realize the value of the most basic exercises and how they really shape everything else. And you start finding yourself doing more and more of them All right. Hands, wrists, and fingers. Loosening the joints. The other way. Elbows. Elbows and shoulders. As always, connecting from the ground through those right and left channels into and through the chest. Opening and closing the chest. And trunk twists from the center. And utilizing this action, this twisting action and power from the lower torso to create movement and energy in the arms, but then direct it to create vibration and just enough impact for you, whatever that is, to drive vibration into where it may still feel stagnant or tight, where you feel like you'd like to feel more open, free-flowing, stronger, more connected. The vibration can act as like a visceral sonar for your feeling awareness. Help you hone in on what you're feeling and how to release it. Patting the diamond. Palm socket joints to the hips. Outside to the hips. Down the outsides of the legs. And those gallbladder channels. All the way to the feet. Up the instep, up the in channels of the legs. Check it out. Circling the daimai. Okay, it's that whole pelvic structure makes this circle. We're trying to keep it level. Other way. Down to the ball and socket joints of the hips. Feeling that relationship now. Feel that pelvis, the ball and socket joints doing that. Rolling, but also so the legs are going to turn a little bit. So you can feel little movements in there. Both sides. Trying to get both of them at once. But if that's challenging for you to feel both of those and all the changes possible there, then go to one side. Press down with the foot slightly. Pull with the torso like you're trying to pull that open. Feel that triangle of the foot and then circle it so the ball and socket joint can move. Learn to put pressure. Extend your intention as you do so from your core to what surrounds the bubbling well. The ball of the foot and the heel and the foot. Right? And then so by doing that, you'll feel the bubbling well. And you can dragon claw like your feet, hook, and gently draw like you're pulling. But you're always balancing yang and yin, always soft. Just enough yang to engage where you might feel tight or tense. And we're going to try to open that up while pressing. Don't ignore this side. Don't bind it up. Don't give too much attention to it, but recognize that this is happening on the context of this stable structure. Utilize your stable structure to help. And the other way. And the other side. Other way. Open up. Side to side now, feeling both again, but also up through the right and left side. Reverse the direction of your power. Let it move the shoulders too. And I don't mean up and down. I mean just working with this rolling in and out. Right? Letting your awareness from this root come up on either side, but also through the center line and into the basic structure. Back into dragon rolling pearl a little bit, right? And close. Once again. This time we're going to extend. We're going to go into those hamstring openings from here. Just start here and extend the right and left channels out. Extend out. Feel that yin support all the way up the center line while the yang rotates and elongates. This is a Taoyin style of exercise, so it's more like a stretch. They call it Taoist yoga. We got to have that concept of yin and yang here and how to utilize them through our explorations of all our other movements. Extending to one side, and back, the other side. And back, using that stable base of yin and yang through the legs. We're going to two dragon circle of pond movement. Conceptualizing this as one dragon on the right side, one dragon on the left. Really should call it three dragons circle of pond because the spine is going to be affected. Back to the center and squat stance. Opening the hips, trying to make the spine strong and supported. If that means you have to come up a little bit to work in, that's fine. You'll find yourself able to drop back down. And the hands go down. Scoot back so you can see. Put the weight of the legs into the elbows. Just stretch those ankle muscles back and forth. You rock. Feet on the ground, just rocking back and forth. Opening up those hips. Feel the Ming Men. Feel the tailbone, the Hui Yin point, the Dan Qian point in the front, the belt and well points. Yin channels and yang channels of the legs. Then feel the spine. Lower Dan Qian, all the way up to the middle Dan Qian. On the inside of the spine, on the other side of the spine. On the right and left channels between the bone socket joints of the hips, the rib cage, on each side, and the shoulders. From the shoulders down through the elbows, to the Laogong points of the palm, and the dragon claw hand. Just feeling, and I say the dragon claw hand, just the sense of your feeling awareness of the thumb, with the middle finger and ring finger, index finger and pinky together. Two groups working together, connecting the feeling. And then from there, support yourself. If you want to suspend, open up the hips, elongate the torso, strengthen the spine. And then come back down. Press up the legs into the low back. Roll the spine up. And a serpentine dragon spine. And then all the way back, palms stay up. The other way. Still doing the dragon spine. Use your abdominal as much as it is spine. Have them work together, front yin and yang, right? Working that spiral up and then into the shoulders. Until try to keep the palms up and notice what the spirals feel like. There's an up and down. And Waldorf shakes his head. And shake it out. So this morning it wasn't an awful lot of Tai Chi, but a lot of building blocks. A lot of Qigong and Daoyin and building blocks. And in part, that's because I try to teach these classes, these live streams, or it's just an ongoing thing, from the place of what I need, and show you how to utilize these tools that I've given you in a lot of other videos or classes that you've attended to adjust and work with your body as it is. And this is the way I go about it. So hopefully that was valuable to you. Thank you for all of you who have shown so much support for me and continue to tune in each week and play my other videos on YouTube. I appreciate that you find value in these things. And I appreciate that you are all very understanding of the upheavals that I've had. And we've all had as a result of this pandemic. So, utilize this stuff. I suspect that did I not do this stuff, my body would not feel as good as it does after this holiday season that I had. So I know that it works because I use it, and I feel pretty good despite the level of activity. But it is because I will take the time with these basics, these just how do you move, stand for a while, work with it, settle into it, and then utilize these basics of where do I put pressure, where do I relax, where am I supported, where am I not supported. Use your intention to get you there. Recognize that as you work with it, there is a force that has to do with the mind and body together that bolsters and strengthens the act of what you're trying to do. And the more you practice, the more you begin to feel an underlying energy, force, matrix of operation. Perhaps it's just the way your body's supposed to work and you're just falling into it, so it feels like something. I don't know. I don't care. It becomes valuable and it enhances what I experience as life force. And there are experiences that I have with it that can't be explained by simple mechanics of the mind and body and its operation. So I've got a sense that she has some validity, but I don't know. And I don't encourage you to lock into any idea that it must be a certain way. Doesn't matter, Perhaps when we attain sufficient awareness, those doubts go away. Not that I have doubts, but the idea that it's not. Maybe the clarity happens. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not that it goes away. Maybe it's that it's you see a different reality, a different truth than what you've experienced in the past, and that's valuable because it lets you see the world in a new way. And then if you can integrate that with all the other things that have helped you survive, do well, bring you peace, joy, whatever, feeling of health, then you integrate it. You know, I think sometimes people that practice these arts, and myself included, can overcomplicate them with some idealized ideation of enlightenment, or perhaps there is one. I don't know. I feel like there's lots of them, that we illuminate our awareness when we engage at doing so a number of times, perhaps daily, perhaps all day long. Maybe that's what that is. I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but thank you again. And I'm going to wrap up, even though I've talked way too much. And just bid you all farewell. Happy New Year. And thank you again for joining me. May you have many blessings of radiant health and a peaceful, happy heart. Sure.